In today's video, I am going to be breaking down Kyle Kuzma and his defense. Kyle Kuzma is a very good defender for the LA Lakers, so let's get down and let's check out how he plays D. Okay, so in this first clip, we are starting here with Kyle Kuzma. What we're going to be looking at is how he plays on the weak side and also how he plays help defense. So as we can see right here, he is standing with 1 foot inside the key, bouncing from inside to outside of the key. Why is this important? Well, in the NBA, you are unable to be in the key for more than a couple of seconds on defense, or else there is a defense in the key call against you, and then of course they get free throws. So not free, F-R-E-E. So from there, what we really want to see is he is obviously keeping in contact with his player, with his peripheral vision, and being able to see, of course, the ball and what's happening with this screen and roll that is currently happening on that side of the court. From there, he is able to then take a couple of steps over and protect that side of the key. What happens here is very good. If you are the player who is on the weak side, you really need to be able to watch not just what's happening with the ball, not just what's happening with your player, but also what's happening with the immediate help side defender. The reason for that is if this player leaves his man now has an open lane towards the basket. So this player here needs to get his butt down towards the baseline to be able to cut off, drive or the cut from this player, and then this man has to move down slightly so that he's covering 2 players, because these 2 players are harder to pass to than it is to this player, and also this player has a very easy lane towards the basket. So that's what we see here. We see that player move down, cut off the pass, but also cut off the drive. We also see Kyle Kuzma getting into position to take that charge, getting his feet planted, and of course taking ownership of that land. We see Caruso really watching and making sure that this player, if he passes out, that he's going to look to try and intercept. And then we see Kyle Kuzma jump. Now that jump should not have happened. However, as long as you jump straight up, there should not be a foul call. You should not be reaching in here. But this was pretty good help side defense. I would have tried to take a charge on that personally, however, but what he was able to do was to disrupt that pass, so that's still pretty good. However, myself and probably Kyle Lowry would have taken that charge. Now what we can see here is Kyle Kuzma, and he has a top foot on that right side, which means that he is trying to force his defender into a double team. Now, of course, this player is really smart and he attacks the top foot, which you should always do. And so when that player attacks that top foot, what do we see Kyle Kuzma do? Instead of taking a step back, he hops back. Why is this important? He hops into that switch. That means that he's able to push off of that foot, because now this player has a tilt, a lean towards the basket. That means that he has now taken ownership of taking that lane towards the basket, which means that Kyle Kuzma knows for sure he is taking that lane, which allows Kyle Kuzma to hop into that switch, pushes off of that foot, and that way he can keep up with his player. Now he does something that a lot of coaches will say is do not cross your feet. Now he is not necessarily crossing his feet. That is because his hips are still facing the defender, but he is running alongside that defender. Why is this important? Because it's going to allow him, if this player was to spin off and go the other direction, it's going to allow him to plant that right foot and then drop that left foot. You have to be really good with your footwork if you are about to do this type of defense. If you are not good with your footwork, that means that you need to be able to shuffle at a very high rate of speed. But because he's able to keep up with his defender, he's able to time. He notices that his defender or his player is jumping up into the air. Obviously, if that player lands, it's going to be potentially a travel, so he's able to go up and block that shot. Now here we have Kyle Kuzma once again. Something that a lot of players do not do is to fight over top of the screen. And that is what he does here. Now what he did do with Caruso is actually very smart, and a lot of players don't do this. So he fights over top of the screen. Caruso does hedge, But instead of trying to double team and trap along the sideline, which is a possibility that he could have done, what does happen, however, is he goes underneath of Caruso because he does notice that Paul George is going to be able to beat him on that right side. And because of that, he's able to keep up with Paul George at that point. Now here's another screen that's happening, but instead, that player, instead of using that screen, does a quick crossover to make it look like he's about to use that screen. That doesn't affect what Kuzma is doing, and that he's able to hop into that change of direction once again. And because he was able to hop into it, as we can see here, he hops into it so that he can push off of that back leg, and because of that, he's able to stick with his player, and that player does turn over that ball. So this is really good talking defense. We see a screen, we see a quick switch, but what happens right there? Well, he wants to get back to his player, and he wants Caruso to take the bigger man. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So we see Caruso actually say, hey, take that man. You're a little bit closer to his height than I am, and I'll take your man. And that is how you should be playing defense. You need to be able to talk and listen to your players on your team to be able to play defense competently. He's able to front face that player. And of course, now this does leave Howard in a bad situation, but at least they did not get an easy basket down low. And either way, LeBron James was there, and LeBron James is a very large, strong player. And because of that, they are forced to take a three that does miss, but a missed three is a heck of a lot better than a potential layup down low and a potential foul, because LeBron James would have tried to block the shot, and he is, of course, behind that player. Now, I hope that these defensive tips help you as a basketball player. If it does, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again in my next video.